Welcome to part 2 of Legends in 20. In part 1, we explored the core philosophies behind Peter's leadership, the principles, the habits, and the experiences that grounded his approach over the years. In this segment, we shift into something far more personal, the career-defining leadership movement. Every reader, no matter how seasoned, has a handful of inflection points that fundamentally reshape their trajectory. It could be a bold decision, a difficult conversation, a crisis that demanded clarity, or a moment where your values were tested. These are the experiences that don't just build skill, they build character. They influence how you lead teams, how you navigate complexity, and how you make decisions when the stakes are highest. Dive into those key moments that shaped the leader he ultimately became and the lessons that stayed with him long after. Now let's move into your career-defining leadership moments. A turning point where you redefine success or direction in your career.
Well, this happened quite a lot, but I'll just take one happened in the last role that I did on that street. And that turning point was really the time when I was leading a massive sales team. Great spirit in terms of performance. Everybody was great out there to execute on the mission. But though we were hitting our volume metrics basically, and that means, net new customer wins, etc. I think we kind of lost our way because the team was really all about focusing, getting net new customers. Well, that's great, no doubt about it. But we lost sight of the losses, so the significant losses that we had on the deals, the bigger deals. Right? We took a pause and asked ourselves, what's going on, right? And why were we losing some of the significant deals and so on? And I think we came to realization that we were losing some of our best people and resources because there was resources supporting those significant deals for getting stretched in all directions and so on because we were going out to so many deals and so on. So we took a hard look at what the data was telling us, and where were we losing, why were we losing to the competition, etc. Where were our win rates better, etc. And we pivoted really immediately after the all hands, which again, coming back to point of transparency, sharing with the team, showing them the data, what the data is telling them, and making sure that the team are aligned as to why were we making these changes to start moving up the revenue line that we want to focus on so that we are no longer just talking about net new customer wins that was important in the past, but less important compared to we want to win significant deals, etc. And you can see 3 months, 6 months down the road, things start to change. So that was really a turning point.
Interesting insight. Thank you for that, Peter. Yeah. Now, let's talk about a decision that transformed a team or culture. Any insights there?
Yes, this happened when I took over a high-performing team, or at least they were known to be high-performing, but they were quite notorious to the point whereby I heard even comments before I joined the team, right, that they can be very competitive to the point whereby internally there was a kind of very toxic culture, as what I was told to be aware of. But again, that's to be expected in some of these environments. Very competitive internally, everybody on its own, very silo, they don't share information, and then there's always that fear of failure, all that as well coming in the picture. And of course, there was that sandbagging among some of these high-performing or potentially high-performing individuals, but they were afraid of failure, right? And so they're sandbagging, they will lowball, they will put the deals, a small deal size, but actually the deal was quite a significant one. So I came to learn about all these. Then on the other hand, we also had a couple of underperformers that for whatever reason, they were still in the team, or they're in the team, but they were probably not managed well. So I kind of like joined a team that they had those numbers that I shared with you. But again, I didn't feel that there was really a spirit or the soul in the team. So what do I do? All right. So for me, yes, the top talents or the potential high performance, I will make sure that I'll manage them in a different way, and I get to understand why they were doing what they're doing. But for the underperformers, we want to make sure that we give them an opportunity to realize for themselves where were the areas that they need to develop, and obviously give them an opportunity to make a comeback. So interesting to under developers or underperformers. One eventually throwing the towel, say, "Yep, I know. I don't think I can. This not for me." And honestly, he went off and he did something different. And again, my earlier point, maybe the conditions are not right for him. He went off. The other performer was somehow able to turn around. All right, and to today he's doing well. He's leading a team. So very happy for him, right? So the kind of situation that we see, some turn around. So not all underperformer is like hopeless, right? It's not the case, right? So we're gonna make sure that they deserve an opportunity. The sandbaggers.
Yeah, the most famous ones. Yeah.
This is the interesting one. I came to understand why they were doing what they're doing. I will show them, look, there's no point putting data into the system when it is all fake data or they're not accurate. So kind of like coach them, make them understand what they need to reflect. It's okay if they think the deal may not come in at the right amount, but at least put that as your best case, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And they start to do that. And that's good because it's really all about the constraint is always about the resources supporting the team, right? 1 is to 3, 1 is to 4 sometimes. Pre-sales, so it's tough to get the kind of attention that you need. Eventually, I think they start to understand how these things about forecasting work, how this matrix work, and want to make sure that they get the right level of support as well. And interestingly, for these sandbaggers for that year, they make it to cloud.
Because of more visibility.
More visibility, they understand the cadence, they understand how this thing works. Getting the executive support is so important. Getting the right level of resources to support is so important. So I think to me, it's really about coming in and making sure that, explaining to them why we need to do what we should be doing, right? And I think they got it, right?
I resonate myself with one of the segments that you just said during my younger days, right? Now, I would need your help, Peter, to briefly describe to my audience your philosophy or principles in leadership.
Okay, so 3 principles that I hold very close to my heart. And first one is competence first.
Okay.
Competence first. So what I mean by that is, being really good at what you are hired to do or being taken on board as a leader to do. And you really need to master your craft. Because ultimately, confidence is built on competence, right? You cannot inspire confidence in your team, your customer even, if you don't know your business better than they do, right? So that mastery to me is your foundation, right? The second one is really about leading the human. So, and of course, manage the rule. So lead the human, but manage the role. It's always important for you to see the difference, right? So we can recognize that the roles change, be it your SaaS, your on-prem, and now AI. The human desire for purpose and respect does not change.
That's constant.
So it's very important. So while you're coaching and delivering bad news, speak to the person first. Just a case in point, right? Because ultimately, person is human after all. They deserve the respect, right? So focus on development and well-being, and the execution of the rule will naturally form. So that's principle 2. Third principle, never delegate trust. What I mean by that, this is a principle that is non-negotiable in my view, because it means that the leaders must personally handle the most difficult and high-stakes kind of conversation, including the firings, whether it's major restructuring, even big customer crisis. As a leader, you don't hide behind those. You have to come in front, and you got to be the one delivering it. I won't mention the name of the customer, but a huge customer, my previous role, when you have to say no to the customer because the request, whatever he's asking for, is not right for the company and not for the business, you have to be the one that be in front of the customer.
And communicate clear cut.
And communicate. You get a lot of things shouted at you, thrown at you. You just have to stay calm and stick on the ground and say, nope, we can't give you that. Even if they say, I'm going to escalate to 2 levels up, go ahead. I'm here to do my job. Right? And to me, that's something that you can't delegate to people to just communicate on your behalf. No.
Interesting. Now, that was the difficult phase of the conversation. Now we're going to go into
Quick fire.
quick fire, lighter ones. We'll keep this jovial, we'll keep this fun. The most powerful lesson a mentor ever gave you.
Pace yourself. Because if you're going to enjoy the ride, in a very fast-paced industry like technology, whether you're going to continue being a rep for all your life, or you want to grow, from a rep to a manager, or to do something different but in the same technology area, you got to pace yourself. It's fast. It's furious. But you got to pace yourself, because this is something a manager actually shared with me when I first entered into HP with a Packard. And he saw me, I was like in my 30s, high energy, ready, running around, going after every deal that that I could see. He put a deal in front of me, I'm going to close it, right? And he saw me, he said, well, you're good at doing all this thing, Peter. You got to learn to pace yourself. Otherwise, you're going to get burnt out very quickly.
Okay, that's good. Now, from advice to a myth about sales leadership you would like to bust.
So the myth is that the great sellers make great leaders. That doesn't necessarily happen all the time. And in my initial years, I always thought, you're a great seller, you're going to be a great manager and leaders. No, I think it's a myth, right? So to me, doesn't necessarily have to be true. Everyone probably have to choose their own path. And if you're the hiring manager, or you are manager manage somebody who is a rep, I think it's important to be mindful of that, be a myth.
Interesting. A book, quote, or ritual that anchors your daily routine.
I remember this quote even after so many years. And the quote is control what you can control.
Mm.
All right. It's been said many times, but to me, when I reflect on this quote, it teaches me something. It teaches me to find inner peace by focusing on what I can control, right? And control not only my reactions, my internal judgment, rather than trying to control external
Factors.
factors and events. Yeah.
Okay. A boldest risk that you ever took and paid off.
That would be the time when I was doing so well as a manager, managing a team, so happy managing a team at EMC as the inside sales director for ASEAN.
Mhm.
And now moving on to Tableau. That's where I met you, right?
It turned out
Hyper-growth.
fine for me.
Turned out fine for
Yeah.
me. Was also fine for me as well, right? So really, that was really an environment that really taught me not only the new skill, vision and analytics, but also a new role as well. From a frontline manager, becoming a manager of managers, a much bigger team across JPEG and not just ASEAN. So it paid off. It paid off because you're going to make new connections yourself and many others, fun loving, high energy, very curious people, which is great, and very assertive, right? And people of various culture, from
Yeah.
the Aussies to the Japanese, Koreans, you name it, right? It was Asia Pacific, of course, not forgetting ASEAN and China, Taiwanese as well.
Yeah. All the
Every
same.
one of them on the same floor, except for Japan, but we could get to see them on various occasions. Amazing.
Yeah. Beautiful team, beautiful memories. And yep, you're right. We were young. We never took a no for an answer. We were always there day in, day out, giving our best.
And we just go wild and crazy sometimes.
Yeah. It was a fun loving environment, right? Now, moving from our younger days to your younger days, Peter, right? If you were to coach your 25-year-old, what would you tell yourself?
Well, I think I would say create a greenhouse
Oh.
rather than
Elaborate.
a gladiator arena. So,
Understood.
okay. Stop being worried about numbers, etc. I mean, we got to really make sure that I'm there as a leader to facilitate creating an environment that is safe for them and tell them it's all right. If you make mistake, we're going to learn from it because it's important that they are able to take risks and ask for help without fearing, public failure or shame, right? Because ultimately safety is the incubator for high performance.
Nicely put. You've seen a lot, Peter, right? And your learnings are a blessing for the next generation. Before we wrap up, if there's one message on confidence and leadership that you would like to share with every aspiring leader out there, what would it be?
I would encourage leaders, whatever role that you're going to be hired for in a business, work on competence first, knowing, understanding, and mastering what you've been asked or hired to do. And that's important for you. The hard work, the discipline. There's no easy way out. You've got to really learn. Right? It can be boring after a while, but you've got to really continue to do and be so good at it. The competence is so important because that foundation will start to get you the respect, the trust, right? And the confidence from not only the people that you're managing, but also the people that are your peers and your customers and partners even. So that's what I'll be leaving to those who are aspiring to be future leaders.
Thank you, Peter. This was insightful and appreciate your time today. That's a wrap for Legends in 20 conversation. And thank you, Peter, once again for being over here with us. Yeah.
Oh, pleasure. And I'd like to also thank you for reaching out. This is something that I don't do often. And I want to also give credit to the many individuals, whether they're reps or managers, in my many roles in the past that I've learned a lot, especially the mentors and the coaches. They've been big in terms of shaping the person I am today. Really, thank you all.
That's a wrap on this episode of Legends in 20 Tech Sales Power Session. A huge thank you to Peter for sharing his wisdom and reflections on leadership, growth, and confidence. If you found this valuable, please like, comment, and share. Let's keep inspiring the next generation to lead with confidence and purpose.